What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Ethereum in this video today. It is the 17th day of November, and here we are with about 10 hours, 33 minutes left in the day, sitting at $3,150 roughly. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. Here we are. Here we are finding support right now. Where we are finding support is actually just above this prior area of resistance. I'm wondering how many people are holding out to buy Ethereum down at this high. I don't think we're going to get there. I personally, for a little bit, I did think that we'd get down this low, and there's definitely a scenario where Ethereum does go to 2,800, even down to like 2,400, somewhere in that range. Let's actually go over that right now. I'm thinking we might find support here because we had a little turbulence, just a little bit of turbulence right here. Right here, you see that little notch right there? And then if you look back all the way to the last cycle, or I guess, sorry, last year, 2024, I guess this was 2025. This is actually still this year. We had support here and support there as well. And it's $3,000, nice psychological level of support. You look back at 2024 here, we did go a little bit lower right here, which again, this area of support right at about 2,800 is right there with our prior high from June of this year. So it's very possible that we could go lower, but it's completely acceptable that this is the low as well. I want to talk about going lower, what that might look like. If we're looking at this on a weekly time frame, I personally don't think that we're going to go this low, but I have talked about this. I even talked about this with some friends in the real world, talking about, we were probably at like 3,500, I want to say, talking about the prospects of going down to 2,600, because here is your 0.5. And if we look at this on a daily time frame, we went from our 382 to our 236. Typically, when you return to the 382, you don't find support here, right? You look to find support at the 382 the first time. If you do and you reject the 236, the second time typically breaks. You don't typically find support, reject the 236, and then find support again. Typically, that doesn't happen. That doesn't mean it can't happen. It happens maybe like 20-30% of the time, something like that, but it doesn't typically happen. Typically, in this situation where you find support here, reject the 236, you would go down to the next fib level, the 0.5, or even the golden ratio, which would be all the way down at $2,000. That'd be pretty crazy though, right? Ethereum would have to then drop another potentially 30%, or at a very bare minimum, another like 16-17%. And what does that mean for the average altcoin, right? That would mean the average altcoin drops like 1.5 that amount, or like 1.5 times that amount, or 2 times that amount, something like that. Or we find support here, we do the thing that is less common, we find support here at the 382, and then we move up. We are finding support right now, right? We're not breaking out. Yesterday we had the opportunity to, but we still closed above the 382. Here we are moving up as well. I want to look at the short-term stuff, but again, this is just where my head's at. If we were to go lower, where might we go, and why might that make sense, right? It might actually make more sense to go to 2,600 than it would to even go to 2,800 personally. But I think it makes sense to find support here. It doesn't make sense by the way of the fibs, but again, it's just a statistical improbability. That doesn't mean that it can't happen. Okay, and I think if we look at the charts, there'll be other things that suggest that we could find support here, right? First and foremost, we're moving down. There's an absence of volume here, right? We're at a point where you should break out, but you're not breaking out. Imagine here, right? Or even here, whenever we were breaking out, we had a higher high. Even here, we did have volume, but we didn't go anywhere, right? You're not going anywhere and you don't have volume right now, but you didn't go anywhere with volume. It's like the same thing. If you're getting a lot of volume but you're not going anywhere, there's probably selling pressure going on. If you're moving down, you're at the point where you should be breaking out and going somewhere, but there's no volume, there's no selling pressure going on at all, right? There's nothing to add to it. So, but just the thought here, each time that we tried to push higher, we were at these breakout points. Just look at the lack of volume that came in. The volume that did come in was to the sell side, so we went down. The lack of volume that's coming in here to the sell side might be replaced by volume to the upside, which is buying volume. We'll see. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame. We'll zoom out. I'm just doing a lot of talking right now. 1 hour time frame, 31.50 right now. The RSI is very neutral. I would say it's more bearishly inclined than bullishly inclined, but neutral right now. Stochastics would suggest that we come down a little bit. And the MACD is also pretty neutral, and that makes sense. The MACD is probably not going to help us out at all, nor would the stochastics be that reliable because we've been moving sideways. When you move sideways like this, these indicators, the stochastics and the MACD, they're a little bit less reliable. Looking at the 4 hour time frame, we didn't get a whole lot off the 1 hour, if anybody was curious as to what that was. The 4 hour time frame here, neutral, but a little bit more bullishly inclined. There's some bearish, I don't know, neutral. Neutral might be the best way to look at this. Neutral, it's not helping us. Of course, because we're moving sideways. Stochastics rejecting the overbought zone. That would suggest we come down a little bit, which we are. Maybe we're rejecting the overbought zone. Maybe we got 2 hours, 28 minutes left in this 4-hour candle. Maybe we come back up and close green. And with that, we won't actually be rejecting the overbought zone. We'll be getting into it. There's a lot of time left in this candle. Let's see how it goes. And it's Monday. The stock market opens up in about an hour. I wouldn't be surprised if the stock market opens up green. And if it does, ETH within the next 2 hours and 28 minutes should actually close this candle green. The MACD is building bullish momentum. I don't know. I'm not really getting any implications here off of the 4-hour time frame either, to be completely fair. A little bit of bullish divergence maybe, but that move's already played out. I'm not really holding my breath over that. What about the daily time frame? Let's look at the daily time frame. Yeah, daily time frame has some suggestive stuff to it, right? There is some bullish divergence here, right? You've got the higher lows right there. There's some bullish, not bullish divergence, I'm sorry, between the stochastics, but you do have a bit of a double bottom where you have a lower low here. And then with the RSI, you do have bullish divergence bouncing right off the oversold zone. And typically these downtrends, which you are in a downtrend now, lower lows, lower highs, typically they end in the oversold zone and when you have bullish divergence. So it's nice to see that here. That gives me a little bit of hope that we are at the low point and that we will recover. Even if we're not, let's say that we do go lower, we're still likely going to bounce from here, right? Even if we do have lower to go, we likely bounce first, get a lower high, and then go lower, right? We're not out of the woods. In other words, even if we bounce here, don't get excited. We still have about like $4,000, $3,800 to tango with as well, that area, right? We still have to get above there. Otherwise, it's just a lower high. And maybe we come up here, we do find resistance, and we still come higher. Like, you know, don't get discouraged if we find resistance here either. That's actually very probable. But I guess I would expect that from here, we do move up probably just above these highs, get people all excited that we have higher highs, the low is in, and then as soon as we do that, we find resistance at a point that makes the most sense to find resistance. All the while, you probably have a bunch of people here who are expecting that this is not the low because we would likely interact at these levels here or these levels here. Bitcoin just closed below its 50-week moving average. Clearly, Ethereum is going to go down here. That's what people might be thinking, so much so that they overlook the fact that where we are right now is actually where we found support before in 2024 and where we found support before back here as well. And we're at the 382 overall. What's this here? Should I take this? Yeah, let's take this low to high. 180. Do I want to take that one? Should I take this one? Let's just see. Pretty well respected, actually, really throughout this whole range. Various levels. You know, going below the 2272 is actually very common. You wouldn't expect to find support directly at it, but below it like this. With this kind of reaction, I would think you go to the 2618, and that's right just below 3,000. I don't know. I don't think we go lower. I mean, we can go lower. I just don't think we go lower right now because we have bullish divergence on our MACD and on our RSI. Not that it can't further diverge. I'm not really foreseeing that now. If we were to go lower, I suppose the lowest I'd give us right now would be about 29.44. I don't think we go below there. And from here, if we were to recover, if we were to bounce, likely areas of resistance would be the golden ratio, which would be at about 3,600, or we'd take a step higher. We start to show some productivity. We go to the 14141.272 area, which is at about 3,700 to 3,850. So somewhere in that zone there is likely where I think we'll go. Somewhere between 3,850 and $3,600. Probably closer to 3,800 if I had to guess. Let's assume that this is the low and just see if any fibs line up with that from this high to low here. Yeah, 3,850 right there at the 0.5. A lot of cryptos like their 0.5, you guys. Maybe I should be taking it from this low because that's the fake out low. 382 and down. Yeah, the 0.5 right there, 30. I bet we do. I bet we do. Time will tell. We'll see how it goes. But all in all, what I'm trying to say here is I think that we found a low for Ethereum. I do think that we're at a low point. We do have bullish divergence on the daily time frame. Rather neutral looks, for being fair, on the shorter term stuff, so anything can happen. Weekly time frame, the stochastics are in the oversold zone. The last couple times that we've been oversold have been at relative low points. The MACD is still bullishly postured overall. And the RSI, you do have lower lows in the RSI while maintaining higher lows in the price. So that is hidden bullish divergence as well. I don't know, guys. I think we bounce here. I think we move up higher. But time will tell. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. I am anticipating that we still see a $8,000 Ethereum by the end of this year. If not by the end of the year, then maybe in January. I was thinking that it'd be by the end of December, and then January we'd be in like 10K level. But maybe we're only at $8,000 by the end of January. But I still think that this is where the next move will take us. And if we're not there by the end of the year, I do think that it'll be by the end of January. So I got nothing else for you. If we're not at 8K, it's because we're higher. We're at 10K, but something in this area here, nonetheless, that's the expectation. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Okay, take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.